Hello, my dear friends, and welcome to Dr. Monkey, where we laugh together and cry together, but hopefully take something away to treat each other a little better. Here's some interesting stories. 1. EM calls police on OP for stealing her daughter, who is OP's girlfriend, and an adult. Please subscribe if you haven't, and I hope you'll enjoy it. Story 1. Background. This happened about 5 years ago. My fiancée and I have been together 7 years this month. We're hoping to get married this year, but might postpone due to circumstances. We were reminiscing some old stories yesterday when this one came up, and she suggested I share it. She was my girlfriend at the time, and I was fully aware that her mom was a few fries short of a Happy Meal. But this was the pinnacle of her behavior. If you guys enjoy this story, I actually have a few more that I'll share. Sorry for the length, but I hope you guys will enjoy it. FYI, there is a happy ending. Cast. EM. Entitled Mom. My future mother-in-law. Girlfriend, Ellie. PO, police officer. OP, me. Ellie and I weren't living together at the time. She just stayed over from time to time when she could. I took her home after she'd been staying with me a couple days, and was heading to work. But shortly after, just before getting to work, I get a phone call from her and can tell she is in tears. Apparently, when she got inside, EM immediately blew up on her about being gone for so long, even though it was only for 2 days, and she told EM she was going to be gone and kept in contact with her while she was gone. But Ellie just sort of brushed it off and went to her room. EM's mom was pretty much your stereotypical crazy cat lady house. House badly decaying, cats all over the place, going to the bathroom in random places and whatnot. And when Ellie gets to her room, she realizes while she's gone, the cat's peed and crapped all over a pile of her clean clothes. But whatever. Ellie decided to just bag them and she would wash them the next time she came to my place. Her mom didn't have functioning washer and dryer, and apparently that really set EM off. EM apparently thought Ellie was bagging her clothes because she was planning to go back to my place that night and stay for another few days. So she stomped into her room, grabbed the bag, ripped it open, and flung the clothes all over the room, along with the cat crap and pee, all while screaming at Ellie that she's not going anywhere. That's when Ellie ran outside and called me. She was so upset and didn't know what to do. Her mom had been doing crazy stuff to Ellie since I'd been with her. But up until I just helped her, however, I could while not getting involved and not saying a word to her mom. I told her to go ahead and get the things she needs, and I'll take her to my place. She said she would love that. I told my work I was going to be late due to an emergency, and turned around to go pick her up. When I pulled back to the house, Ellie was in the driveway crying. I went and hugged her and told her it was going to be okay, and that she would stay with me as long as she wanted. So she went back inside to get her things, and as I was standing outside waiting, I heard the door open once again, and went to help Ellie with her things. Uh-oh, it's her mom. EM comes stomping out with her hair crazy and frizzled, and an old nightgown. She beelines for me and gets right in my face. EM with an extremely thick, high-pitched southern scream. My daughter said I need to come out here and ask what you think of me. I knew it was a blatant lie as Ellie would never instigate this. You got something to say? Do you? You think I'm trash, don't you? That's what you think, isn't it? Again, up until now, I'd completely kept my mouth shut and was trying to maintain that. But this woman was up in my face, freaking out, and was tormenting the woman I loved. So I finally looked at her and broke my silence. OP, why do you treat her like this? EM, what do you mean? That's my daughter and I worship the ground she walks on. OP, oh really? So, calling her terrible and cruel names is worship? Yes, I've heard her say this slurs with my own ears. EM, gasp, I would never say anything like that. OP, getting rather irate. Bull crap, I've heard you say it. Yeah. Explosion. You get your freaking rear off my property! Okay, I almost never find myself in situations like this, so I'm not used to it. I say that because after she said this, I pretty much saw red. I'm not proud of it. I just started shouting every curse word in the book I could possibly think of at the top of my lungs, while she went back in the house. But thankfully, that only lasted a few seconds and I immediately calmed down. So finally, Ellie comes back with her stuff. We put it in the car, and I assume it's over. But Ellie turns to me and says, Ellie, I'm sorry, but we can't leave yet. Oh, Pete, why not? Ellie, Mom called the cops. I sort of had a feeling that would happen. No big deal. We just sat there and waited for the cops to arrive. After about 10 minutes or so, a cop car pulls up. Right when he does, Em comes out of the house and, oh my God, she was doing exactly what you think. She instantly puts on the fragile, brittle old lady act, hunched over, walking slowly, the whole gig, and of course the police officer asks what happened. She has to pitch her entire medical chart to the guy. Ellie will tell you this woman's been terminally ill for 12 years. LOL. So when she finally gets done trying to milk the poor guy for sympathy, she tells her version of what happened. Em, sir, he came onto my property and verbally attacked me. He's awful to me, and I've never even done anything to him. He's turned my daughter against me and is trying to convince her to leave. At first he seems somewhat sympathetic to her, until he turns to Ellie. Theo, ma'am, is this your boyfriend? Ellie, yes, sir. Theo, okay, and how old are you? Ellie, sir, I'm 23. This was my favorite part because the officer looked up from his notepad with a look of, wait, what? Obviously he was thinking Ellie was a minor or something based on how Ian was acting, but quickly realized what he was dealing with. Eventually it turns to me. Theo, okay, sir, give me your version of what happened. I did so. Funny side note, at one point, Pio looked up at me and says, Pio, you look really familiar. Do I know you? It actually turned out that Pio and I had gone to high school together. Once we recognized each other, we laughed and shook hands very briefly. This was hilarious because out of the corner of my eye, I see Em has a big scowl on her face as she sees me getting friendly with the Pio. But anyway, Pio puts his notepad away and turns to me. Just FYI, he says the following with his heavy tone of, I know that you are fully aware of this and don't believe you are in the wrong at all, but I have to say this is a formality. Pio, well, OP, she doesn't want you on the property, so be aware of that. If you come back here, you technically can be charged with trespassing. Do you understand this as I've explained it? OP, absolutely, sir. Em, but sir, I want to press charges. Yo, he didn't do anything illegal, ma'am. Em, but he verbally assaulted me. Yo, I understand that. And while that is ill-advised, he turns to me and gives me a small gesture with his hand, and I nod in agreement. It's not something I could arrest him for. He agrees he will not come back on your property without your direct permission. Em, ugh, okay, fine, whatever. Ellie, come back inside. Ellie, what? No. Em, you heard the P.O. OP is leaving, and you're staying here. P.O., whoa, ma'am. I didn't say that at all. Em, but, P.O., your daughter is not a child, ma'am. She's a full-grown adult. She has every right to go where she wants. Em, I'm her mother. She lives under my roof. I told her she needs to stay here, so she needs to stay. P.O., no, ma'am. That's not how it works. If she wants to go stay with her boyfriend, there's absolutely nothing you can do to stop her. Em starts the fake crocodile tears and stomps in the house in defeat. Ellie and I thanked the officer and got in the car and left. We've been living together ever since. Happy ending. Believe it or not, Em isn't really much of an Em anymore. Over the years since that day, Em has actually decided to make an effort to try and improve herself. I guess she realized that she didn't make changes, she would lose her relationship with Ellie. So Em started taking advantage of her medical coverage I went to see her psychiatrist and got some medicine for mental illness she actually had, as opposed to the one she would make up. Since then, well, she has actually gotten way better. She takes her medicine regularly and has a boyfriend that is an extremely kind man and treats Ellie as though she were his own daughter. So basically, EM isn't really EM anymore. We actually get along very well and see them frequently, and we help each other out whenever we can. We actually look back on the early years when she was in fact an EM and laugh. So not only is everybody getting along well, we can actually share the cringe stories and happily laugh at them. If you guys would like to hear some more, let me know. It's very refreshing that one of these has a happy ending. It's also good to hear that you and Ellie are still together. I'm glad EM got the help and she changed her ways too. Overall, super happy after this story. Thanks for sharing it, OP. Story 2. So this story starts with me taking over the check-in area for Smallland. When I took over the check-in, there were 5 families in line. I checked in the first 2, then this one woman and her daughter. I noticed that the man and woman standing behind the woman and her daughter had weird looks on their faces. The woman looked visibly uncomfortable, and the man looked like he wanted to punch somebody. After almost 2 years of me witnessing people developing weird facial expressions and strange emotional states from waiting in line, I was kind of desensitized to how they were acting, and not fully prepared for what was about to come. No, seriously, something about waiting in line to go to Smallland makes people look like they've gone through an existential crisis. It's like retailcustomer.exe stopped working. I should have been laughing so much more at all of this than I actually did when I worked there. Anyway, back to the story. This woman's daughter comes in. I shut the gate behind her. She trots off to play happily. Enter entitled dad and entitled mom, and their respectful boy and respectful girl. Yes, their kids were really nice. ED looking down at EM as if he were expecting her to obey some form of instruction she's been giving. EM doesn't say anything, so ED decides he'll just do it himself and blurts out, "That woman who is just here cut in front of us." I knew that wasn't true. That woman and her daughter had been in line for a very long time. They know this. They'd been here before I had taken over the check-in, and before ED and EM had got in line. I knew this because I'd been waving at the girl at one point, about 15 or 20 minutes prior to this. I also would pay attention to the line even if I wasn't assigned to check in, because people cutting in the line was a big issue at our store. So I said to ED, "She was here before you got here." ED, "No, she wasn't. I was here first." His voice getting a little bit louder, too. Me, "So why didn't you say anything?" EM, "Well, we didn't want to make a scene, but she says this in a way like she's trying to tell me in some super secret code that her husband loses his mind over crap like this all the time, and that she has to work really hard to defuse the situation." ID, my coworker, "She was there before you guys. I know, 'cause I was there." I thought, okay, ID is like the sweetest human to walk this earth. No one ever gets mad at him. He can straight up tell people the worst news ever, exactly what they don't want to hear. But they accept it because he's so darn sweet, even without trying to be. ID's wonderful demeanor ought to fix this. Nope. ED looks over at ID and waves his hands side to side in the widest way a white man could, and says, "Shut up. You don't know what you're talking about." Now, ID is a lot younger than I am, so he just laughs at this guy. I mean, ED was being ridiculous, and he deserved to be laughed at. But I'm not young, so I say to him, "I beg your pardon?" I said it in a way like one more insult at my unofficial brother, and we're going to have a problem. That's the only time at this job I thought I was about to have a fuming argument with someone about how they addressed my coworker. ED is staring at me like he'd been staring at EM, and that crap doesn't work on me. He even leaned forward, I guess thinking 'cause he's slightly tall, and that would intimidate me. All I said was, "Which one of you will fill this out?" I laid the pen over the paperwork I had ready for them and just waited. EM, "I don't think we should do that." Me, "They can't come unless you fill it out." ED. You should make that kid get out so my kids can go in. Me. There's plenty of space for both of your kids. If you want them to go, then you can fill this out. ED. No, I want you to make that kid get out of here right now. He's pointing into the play area and down at his feet, as if he actually wants us to bring this child to him. Needless to say, this guy was creepy. Me. I'm not giving you someone else's kid. ED. It's not fair that we had to wait. So you get that kid out of there so they can go in now. I simply took the paperwork away and said I'd phone my manager to come speak to them. As I'm calling my manager's extension, I hear both kids telling ED and EM they don't want to play anymore, and that they should just go. The boy was practically pleading with ED to just leave. It was clear that this rageful behavior was most likely a regular occurrence. EM takes our B&RG away. ED stays. I inform him after I get off the phone that the manager will be there shortly. ED. I want the manager now. Me. The manager will be here in a few minutes. ED. He needs to hurry up. This guy's been waiting all of 30 seconds. He was that disturbingly impatient. A minute later, a polite mother and her son come up to drop off. Edie gets in their way and says to them, I was here first. I'm next in line, waiting for the manager. Nobody else is going to go in until I get service I'm due. Me. Don't talk to my customers like that. Move aside so I can check in her child. This polite mother turns and looks at ED with the greatest stink eye I have ever seen. Then she turns to me and says, How are you doing today? Before I could answer her, ED started shouting that he wanted a manager. Me. Do you want me to call security? Because I can call security. ED. You can't call security on me. I'm allowed to be here. Me. Watch me. And I did exactly that. Called security. They came down fairly quickly, took the guy aside, and had a chat with him. And I think royally scared the pants off him. A little while later, the manager came and also had a discussion with ED. This erupted into him claiming he would sue IKEA for time and money he had lost. My manager just responded to that with, Smallland is a free service. I guess finally realizing he wasn't going to get anywhere with this nonsense, he stormed off. I still don't understand why he did that. Like, what was his goal? When do people really do that? Like, you're at checkout in the grocery store and there's a person in front of you. Do you just wait until it's your turn to tell the cashier that they cut the line when they clearly didn't? Like, you're just wasting your time and everyone else's time. Well, guys, that's all for today. If you liked this video, please consider subscribing. And if you missed the last episode on the channel, I'm going to link it right here. The story's about OP's mother who didn't believe in her kids' allergies. Check this out if you haven't, and I'll see you next time on Dr. Monkey.